some of these schools try to do in the transfer portal. But before we get off the recruiting topic, one thing I did want to talk about, and we talked a little bit about it this weekend, but is Auburn and how effective they've been in recruiting this year. And in the transfer portal, I think is kind of what we're going to see. But Cam Coleman flips from A&M to Auburn a few days ago. This is a guy that's very similar to George Pickens, which was a recruit that Auburn missed out on, who flipped from Auburn to Georgia about 4 or 5 years ago. And couple him with Perry Thompson, a guy that committed to them back in July, another 5-star wide receiver. And now they've got their eyes on 2025 5-star wide receiver Ryan Williams, who's an Alabama commit. But they're looking to try to get him to reclass to 2024 and flip from Alabama to play for the Tigers. I think that you're seeing, and you mentioned the transfer portal being a way to fill holes. Well, I think that Auburn is kind of doing that with their recruiting class, because Auburn is really a few wide receivers away from being pretty dang good, especially if they can go get a quarterback in this transfer portal class, this year. So I really I think that Auburn is a team to look at this year to see, they're going to have a year 2 bump with Hugh Freeze and his system. Can they get the right pieces in place to do something this year and make it into the playoffs in the first 12-team playoff, coming in 2024? What are your thoughts on Auburn?
Well, me and you discussed Auburn a little bit yesterday, and I think this is a team on the rise. You've got evil Dr. Hugh Freeze at the helm, and I think this guy is just a hell of an offensive mind, is what I think. And what I really like about this class is the balance. Their top 2 players that they have committed right now are offensive, but then the next 3 players of the top 5, collectively there are defensive players. And so you're not just seeing it on one side of the ball. A lot of times you see a head coach that's offensive minded come in and he wants to do things a certain way on offense and kind of neglects the defense. And I think that Hugh Freeze is of the understanding that in the conference that Auburn is in, you have to have the complete package, and you've got to have depth at every position. And it seems like they're doing a really good job at rounding out this class. You got a quarterback coming in, Walker White, who's probably going to be your quarterback of the future. As you can see, they're a 4-star guy out of Little Rock, Arkansas. And you talked about those wide receivers, Cam Coleman and Perry Thompson. Perry Thompson was a guy that they flipped over from Alabama, a guy that lives in Foley there, not far from Gulf Shores. Gosh, there's been some good football players come from down there. But Joseph Phillips, Walker White, DeAndre Carter, these are all guys that are going to be able to come in and provide some help and some depth, I think, right away in some of these positions. Well, it'll be interesting to see who they get at quarterback. Who are you feeling like who do you think Auburn is leaning towards at quarterback? Do you have an idea? And also,
man,
who would they want if they could just get anybody? Who the hell would Auburn want right now? That
anybody that is in the transfer portal today?
Yeah, or that we think may go in. I guess most of them that we think may go in are in. But my point is,
yeah, I think that they would want a Texas quarterback. And I'll kind of leave it at that, because I think that they would take Arch Manning or Malik Murphy, whoever decides to go. I think it's pretty inevitable that one of them are going to go, but they have a playoff game to go play, so that can't be like the main focus right now. So I'm anxious to see what happens there. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, both of the quarterbacks that I'm thinking of, and I'm with you on the Malik Murphy thing or Arch. Obviously, Auburn would take either one of them. And call me crazy, but I feel like Arch Manning is just like the perfect. He just seems like an Auburn guy. I don't know, man. Weird. But the Liberty quarterback, Caden Salter, this is a guy that he got in this Hugh Freeze offense, man. I'd be pretty afraid of what that Auburn team would be capable of. This guy can run, he can pass, he can do it all. I don't know if anybody saw him on championship weekend, but my goodness, He he absolutely tore it up this past weekend and did something that only Jaden Daniels of LSU had done this year, and that was throw for over 350 and rush for over 150
Mm.
in one game. He just absolutely tore somebody a new one. Um, so I feel like if they were to get Caden Salter, I feel like that would be unbelievable because
I,
you've got a guy he just completed a undefeated season. He's got experience at the helm. Malik Murphy, when we saw him at certain times this year, I'm not so sure that he's going to translate well over to this system after running that Steve Sarkisian system last year. I'm not so sure how that would work out. I feel like we don't know. We know he's a physical specimen. We know he's got the arm. We know he's got the running ability. We know he's got the size, but we don't know his game ability yet.
mhm.
So I think if Auburn wants to be competitive this coming up year, you've got to find a guy with some experience and a guy that is going to be able to jump into this system. And I feel like Caden Salter, obviously, he's a player that was left in the cupboard at Liberty from when Hugh Freeze was at Liberty. So
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see how that goes. As I wouldn't suspect, I guess, Caden Salter to be in the transfer portal yet. He's going to play in his bowl game, right?
Yeah, I would
I haven't
think
heard of him.
playing
I
against
haven't heard of him
Oregon.
going in. Have you?
No, but you have to expect that he's probably going to be highly sought after. I think that makes a lot of sense, given his familiarity with Hugh Freeze's offense, his ability, and the fact that I don't think that Hugh Freeze has been pretty adamant that they are not going to go out and aggressively seek a quarterback. They feel pretty comfortable with Peyton Thorne for another season. I know it sounds a little bit surprising, but they're willing to be patient. They're willing to be patient for the right fit.
Well,
And I'll tell you real quick because I know Walker White is almost a top 100 overall recruit, but apparently he did not have a very good senior season. So Auburn fans are a little bit concerned about his long-term ability. And so I think that they're looking for someone that they can get at least 2 years out of, which Salter has, and maybe, win with him in the next couple of years. And then that would give them time to go out and find their quarterback in the 2025 class.
and you mentioned Peyton Thorne. He had nobody to throw the football to.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how many drops Auburn had this year, but it was a lot, dude. I mean, it was a lot. And so until you get that fixed, I'm not sure it matters who you've got at quarterback there. Um, obviously somebody who can run, I think is a big deal, for this Auburn offense. But Peyton Thorne, ever since the Georgia game, has been running ever since. So I think that he is a really good fit. But as I said, we've got early